I've just got this gut feeling the movie side of the Mandoverse is going to be unhinged. That's why we're seeing crazy rumors. Can you imagine a scenario where one of the villains is one of Moff Gideon's clones? A canon twist inspired by Luke with 2 U's from The Last Command. Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. Today we have even more information for the Mandalorian and Grogu. Obviously spoiler warning, but so far we know that Rotta the Hutt is going to be in it, Embo is going to be in it, Sigourney Weaver has 1 or 2 scenes as a New Republic sergeant, and today we have more details for the Rotta the Hutt situation. Let's take a look. Exclusive. Rotta the Hutt says bruh at the end of every sentence. He also wears sunglasses, and the movie ends with a Hutt's breakdance that Dave Filoni thought to have them include. Okay, alright, I'm just joking. It's not April Fool's yet, but it was just a joke I posted to social media yesterday. But we do have a legit report from Bespin Bulletin, and as you're gonna see, the real movie leaks are getting a bit ridiculous. We do need more context to understand the creative choices, the rationale behind those decisions, but until we have the trailer, a few details here and there are the best we can do. So no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight in. According to BespinBulletin.com, the Mandalorian and Grogu is giving us a buff Hutt. Jabba's son Rotta is ripped, and the reason, according to this article, is he's a professional gladiator. That's right, they're giving us a gladiator Hutt. They restate he's being voiced by the Bear star Jeremy Allen White, and the reason for my joke is, from all accounts, Rotta sounds like the Hutt equivalent of a dude bro. Another rumor that's emerged is at some point in the movie, he swallows Din Djarin. I mean, it goes without saying he spits him back out. All of these bits of information do make the movie sound a bit too comedic. Sometimes when stuff like this comes up on my feed, I have to check who it's from, because often these leaks sound fake. They sound too ridiculous to be true. They're kind of turning Rotta into Gracchus. He was of course a crime lord who lived on Nar Shaddaa during the Empire. Once a powerful kingpin of the Hutt clan, he controlled an extensive network of bounty hunters and spice smugglers, and, at one point, he too was ripped. I just can't imagine how they're going to do this in live action. It's obviously going to be CG like Skeleton Crew and Book of Boba Fett, but can they get it right? And it does bring up a few questions. Number 1, are casual fans going to need to know who Rotta is? It would take 2 seconds to mention he's Jabba's son, and in the context of a ripped Hutt, the visual spectacle is enough. You don't need to know the backstory. For diehards like us, that's just cherry on the cake. But I doubt it's going to be essential to know his story from the Clone Wars movie, now that he's grown up. Another important question, and this came up a few times the other day. So like, why does the New Republic want him? A very valid question. It could be to do with underworld politics, it might have something to do with someone Rotta has close ties to, maybe he's harboring an Imperial fugitive, maybe he knows information about the Remnant, was in collaboration with them, we don't know. The context is important, and I do think to this extent, it's important to give the movie a chance. But so far the rumors are very strange. If they get the action scenes right, this could look really cool on the big screen, but they do run the risk of it looking very goofy. It's all going to come down to the visual effects. And then there is the question, my dear friends, of who is the main villain of the film. We've heard about Embo, we've heard about Rotta, and there is confusion. Well, in light of these rumors, there is one thing we have to remember. These character details are just a small piece of a bigger pie. There's an entire story we have no information about, so it is too early to judge. Under a microscope, cherry-picked out of context, it does sound strange. But the overarching plot might make them make sense. These cameos might actually serve a purpose. And I just want to highlight a concern that got me thinking about the structure of this film. I could be mistaken, but check this out. This comment is in reference to Embo. I don't remember this guy at all. I'm guessing they wrote it for Cad Bane, before some intern remembered. They blew that away on the Book of Boba Fett. So a bit of sarcasm, but this does bring up an interesting point. I wonder if some plot threads from Book of Boba Fett's original script are being repurposed into The Mandalorian and Grogu. We know there were some changes. Robert Rodriguez and Jon Favreau had certain disagreements. And I wonder if the twins from Book of Boba Fett were intended as a precursor to a story with Rotta. Boba Fett did tell them to return to Nal Hutta, and I wonder if in the original writing of the show, Jon Favreau had mapped out a sequel. the precursor to Jabba's son re-emerging? If this is the case, do you think the Mandalorian and Grogu might confirm if Cad Bane truly survived? They've implied it several times. The encyclopedia, a couple of visual guides, they seem to be very uncertain if they want Cad Bane dead or not. I would love if he returned. This time though, fingers crossed, it's with Todo 360. I have seen fans express they wish the Mandalorian and Grogu plot had been the Book of Boba Fett. As cool as the cameos would have been, the story of Book of Boba Fett, as imperfect as it was, worked better with Cad Bane than it would have done with Embo. And it goes without saying, even though it doesn't look like they're gonna do this, Temuera Morrison, as Boba Fett, should have some part to play in helping Din. And you've got to bring back Fennec Shand, such a badass, on the big screen for the next Star Wars movie. Yes please. And you might say, well Meg, aren't you just asking for more cameos? No, because those ones already exist in the scope of Din Djarin's life. Established bounty hunters alive during the Mandoverse. Embo and Rotta, they work in this time period, but those certainly do feel more fanservice-y and shoehorned in from the Clone Wars. And could you imagine if after escaping Peridea, Ahsoka meets Rotta again, and before she finishes her sentence, he tries to swallow her? I'm just being silly. But it just seems so strange because after The Mandalorian Season 3, after the way fans responded, we thought they were going to go back to basics. That's the most logical approach. Mando and Grogu doing some investigative work, taking out Imperial Remnant stormtroopers, and what would have been amazing is if they had to solve a mystery relating to the Shadow Council. Din and Grogu coming across things they're not supposed to, reporting back to Carson Tava who tells the New Republic, and they don't believe them. And you're setting up an underground threat that comes together in Dave Filoni's movie. There's nothing saying they can't still do this. There is at least one Shadow Council character returning, but so far the leaks have been so bizarre, so obscure that you're wondering, does Lucasfilm have their priorities right with this? They can't afford to do more damage to something that's been a leading component of this IP. A lot of hope for the future of the franchise after the sequel trilogy was returning to what happened after Episode 6, the Mandoverse, prior to the events of Episode 7. And then there's a part of me that wonders, are they leaking this stuff just to get the fans' reactions? Because maybe some of this is true, but they might minimize it and cut certain scenes for the final product. I think we're at a point with this where I don't think I have any kind of expectation for the movie, and that might be a good thing. Something I thought of the other day. Could you imagine if one of Moff Gideon's clones becomes a villain? And finally, my dear friends, in other Star Wars news, big spoiler for the Battle of Jakku comics. The final issue has given us an official canon glimpse of the birth of Ben Solo, the future leader of the Knights of Ren, Kylo. We're always thinking, well, this is always leading to The Force Awakens. But look at Han Solo's beard. Just like in Battlefront 2, you have Lando congratulating him, C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewie, Luke, Leia, and we also have a canon visual look at the signing of the Galactic Concordance. This was a temporary peace treaty between fledgling Imperials and the New Republic. Mon Mothma shaking hands with Mas Amedda. This didn't last very long. It's a trap. But with that said, my dear friends, what do you make of all of the news we covered in today's video? What do you think of the Mandalorian and Grogu leaks? Do you want to see Rotta the Hutt as a gladiator in the film? Share your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.